Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome everyone back. And first, I want to say I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I also want to apologize to you, and I want to apologize to God because it's been a while since my last video. So with that being said, let's jump into today's question. Today's question is, do you know Jesus or do you just know a name? Now, some people might think, what kind of question is that? What does he mean? Do we know Jesus or do we just know a name? I ask this question because back when I first started going to church, I heard of Jesus. I heard that Jesus died for me. I heard all these things about Jesus. So even when I went to church and carried a Bible, I thought I knew enough about Jesus. But years later, God showed me something. And like all my other videos, this is not something I figured out. I would never have known if God hadn't shown me the truth. And the truth takes us over to Matthew chapter 7, verse 21 to 23. And I'm not going to be reading the entire verse. I'm going to be highlighting certain words to help you get a better understanding. So Matthew chapter 7, verse 21. Here Jesus says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' shall enter the kingdom of heaven." 22. "Many will say to me in that day, 'Lord, Lord.' 23. "And then I will declare to them, 'I never knew you.'" So why does Jesus say, "I never knew you"? This verse takes us back to the question, do you know Jesus or do you just know a name? When Jesus says, "I never knew you," he lets us know there is a major difference when it comes to knowing someone and just knowing their name. So what do I mean by that? What is the difference? Well, like I said, all the years I have been going to church, I only heard of Jesus. I heard of Jesus through other people. So before I continue on, I want you to understand something. I want you to understand why Jesus says, "I never knew you." Jesus is letting us know that knowing the name is one thing, but getting to know Jesus on a personal basis is something completely different. And before I started this message, I was asking God to help me speak in a way that helps you understand. And God gave me an example. Now, this is just an example to help you understand. If I mentioned a random name, for example, the President of the United States, a name would automatically pop into mind because everyone knows the name of the president. And we might think to ourselves, oh, yeah, I know him. Now, think about this. You know the name of the president, but do you know him personally? Does the president know you? Now let's look at our relationship with Jesus. We know his name, but do we know Jesus on a personal basis? We have heard of Jesus, but have we taken the time to get to know Jesus? When God showed me this message, God helped me see something in myself, that all I knew was a name. I knew the name, but I did not believe in the name. I didn't believe in Jesus. And then God showed me that I was not alone. God showed me that the entire world is also trapped in just knowing a name and not actually believing. And I know what you're thinking. How? Right? How are people trapped? If we turn to our Bible, I'm going to show you what God showed me starting in the book of Mark, chapter 15, verse 32. It says, "Let the Christ descend now from the cross, that we may see and believe. So this verse tells us that people want to see. They want to see with their eyes, and then they will believe. And over in the book of John, chapter 6, verse 30, it says, therefore they said to Jesus, what sign will you perform that we may see it and believe you? So the last verse back in Mark, the people said, let us see Jesus first. And then here in the book of John, the people say, show us proof, and then we will believe. And the funny thing is that this was written over 2,000 years ago, but it tells us exactly how people to this day still believe. People want to see before they believe. And because they cannot see, they will not believe. And even Jesus calls us out over in the book of John, chapter 4, verse 48. It says, then Jesus said, unless you people see signs and wonders, you will by no means believe. So not only does the Bible tell us, but Jesus himself tells us why people will not believe, which explains where, how, and why people are trapped. They want to see something before they believe it. For the unbeliever, this might mean nothing. But for the people who do believe, this is actual proof. It is proof because Jesus told us way before it happened. And over in the book of John, chapter 14, verse 29, Jesus says, and now I have told you before it comes, that when it comes to pass, you may believe. So Jesus has told us. He told us before it happens. And he told us to help our belief. And it is true. If you ask someone about Jesus, people will tell you that they don't believe in that. And if you ask them why, their excuse will be they don't believe what they cannot see. And the bad news is that most people only believe what they may see. But the good news is that Jesus does not give up on us, because Jesus lets us know there is hope. Over in John chapter 11, verse 40. Jesus says, did I not say to you that if you would believe, then you would see the glory of God? So right here, Jesus gives us hope. Here, Jesus is saying, if you first believe, then you will see. And he didn't say you might see. He didn't say you probably will see. He said you will see. So knowing the name is one thing, but getting to know Jesus is something else. And of course, we cannot see, but Jesus says if you believe, and then you would see. And everything you ever heard about Jesus through other people will become clear. And you will be able to see Jesus himself. Then, not until then, you would be able to get to know him. You wouldn't be able to get to know something you can't see, but if you believe he's there, you can get to know him. And Jesus would be able to get to know you. So, before I go, there's one last thing I want to talk about. Over in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7, it says, walk by faith, not by sight. If you walk by sight, you will have no faith. But if you walk by faith, it's not until then you will be able to see. Thank you for watching.